What's up? This is Jordan Gray from Half Lit and DopelivenTV.
Hey, this your boy Don Ritchie representing the Midwest 219 Stand Up.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Lamar Tate.
This is your girl, Monifa.
Hey, what up? It's your man, Dave Hollister from Blackstreet.
You know what this is right here. This Trigger Trench in the building.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is your boy, Jason Weaver. And whenever I'm back home in the Chi, I'm checking out Dope Living TV.
Hey, it's your girl, Adina Howard, and you're watching Dope Living TV, live with Greg Gray and the crew.
Hey, what's up? It's your boy Greg Gray. This is Dope Living TV Live. Let's start it off by saying the views that are expressed on this Dope Living TV Live are not necessarily the views of Dope Living TV or its affiliates. I got it right. Can't nobody take it away from me. I did it. Ha. Anyway, we're going to have a great show today, man. We have with us today, and I think it's going to be a very interesting conversation for me, especially because some of the things that we're going to talk about today, I'm actually experiencing. But we have a geriatrician. She's an author, and she's going to present some unique strategies for the family and professional elder care and care management. And it's going to improve. It's going to help you to improve the outcome. And she also has some tips on how to control your healthcare costs. Her name is Dr. Cheryl E. Woodson, and we got her here on Dope Living TV, believe it or not, all right? So we're going to have some fun, and we're going to learn something, okay? What is our motto? We inspire, we educate, we entertain. We do all that. Ain't that right, Gina? And Gina, she's doing the lip syncs.
That hasn't happened in a long, long time.
So I was just going to get in the corner and do.
Oh, you did it wrong, though.
I did.
Yes, you did.
Let's go. What's going on, babe?
We got a real doctor on today.
Real doctor, not a fake
That's right.
One. Not a fake one. You know, the other time we had the doctors with the chicken bones and rolling them and dice and all of that stuff. And we got a real doctor on today.
That's right. Is there a doctor in the house?
Doctor in the house. Yes, it is. What's going on, Dinah Lynn Biggs, my friend?
Hey, Dinah Lynn.
Radio station, Biggs radio station. What is it called? Biggs Radio Network. What is it called, Dinah Lynn? I keep forgetting.
Biggs Radio.
That's what I said. Anyway, for Lisa, what's going on? I hope everything is well with you.
Hey, Lisa.
All right, that's definitely okay. But Dinah, yes. Man, you missed it, Dinah. No, you didn't. She was on there with Michonne as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Yes. She says, hey. But today, like I said, today, you know, it's our Friday, even though it's Thursday. It's our Friday because we don't come on tomorrow. And yes, I dated the show, but hey. What we want. But we do have Dr. Cheryl Woodson on with us today, and she's going to give us a lot of great information. And I hope you guys that are watching take heed to some of this, okay? Because if you got older parents that are
or loved ones
that are going through some things that she's going to talk about today, man. Look, Dinah Lynn says she loves the energy. Dinah Lynn, we ready to come to the station, man. Let's go. Everybody say what's up to Mo B. He over there doing. Look at him.
Hey, Mo.
What's up?
Hey, Dr. Cheryl. That's Mo. That's the one we talking about earlier. Anyway.
He was talking about you, Mo.
I wasn't talking bad about you, bro. I just said you're gonna love him. I said he has a great spirit. Did I not say that? Has a great spirit. And he's just one of the friendliest guys I know. Been knowing him for a while too. Dinah Lynn says, bring it. We're gonna bring it, Dinah Lynn. We ready. She says, hey,
bring it.
Hey, what's going on?
Yes, sir. All right, without further ado, man, like I said, can I say that right? She is a geriatrician and she's an author. and she's going to teach us a lot about elder care,
Mhm.
care management,
Yes.
and things
And
that help control the healthcare costs.
we will have Marcy on. She had an emergency Red Cross call. So when you get those calls, it's never a good call.
Good and well, she just had to go to the bathroom. We already
Stop it.
That's her Red Cross.
Stop it.
That's a real.
Mama, can you bring me some tissue?
Gary out the toilet. What's up?
What's going on, Cyrus?
Hey, Cyrus,
I gotta
man.
have you on the show, Cyrus. You need to come on
Man.
the show. Most definitely.
His sister, Kathy,
Hmm?
and she went to Austin with us. She used to live, she's like an auntie to my kids.
See,
That's
Cheryl?
awesome.
See, Dr. Cheryl?
That's awesome, Mo. Don't listen to him, Mo.
Okay, anyway, let us bring Dr. Cheryl Woodson on with us. What's going on, Dr. Cheryl?
Good evening, good people.
Hi,
What's
Dr.
going on?
Cheryl.
Well, I'm great. Life is happening today.
It is. It is definitely doing that.
You said that's a big glass of water, Mo.
Hey,
Big glass of water for a big man.
Suddenly,
supposed to,
that
right?
ain't no water. That's
Well, I
Ciroc.
told you I had my cinnamon hot chocolate with a shot of amaretto, so I'm with you.
Ooh, that
You
sounds
got
good.
an amaretto in it?
Oh yeah,
I ain't never had it like that.
That sounds good, doesn't it?
rum works too, but it was an amaretto night.
There you go.
I didn't tell my wife about that one. She likes amaretto.
She likes to be comfortable. That's what it is.
Hey, that'll
Cheryl-
put you in that comfort mode. They shift you in there real slow to a goom.
Dr. Cheryl, we appreciate you giving us the time today, and welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yes.
So let's get it started. So, Dr. Cheryl, am I saying it right? A geriatrician?
Yes, like pediatricians, they're
Mm-hmm.
clinicians who care for older adults.
Okay, explain that though. I mean, what's that about?
Geriatrics is the study of older adults, particularly those at risk for nursing home placement. I mean, I have a 96-year-old aunt. She doesn't need a geriatrician. She's about to go through the Panama Canal again.
Wow.
Whoa.
Mile every single day.
Wow.
I was teaching line dancing 3 days a week before the pandemic. Okay,
Wow.
so she may not need
Staying
a
active.
geriatrician.
That's
But
awesome.
these are people, we look at more than just the physical exam that a general internist or family physician does. We look at mind problems, brain function, seeing, speaking, walking, handling your daily living, who would take care of you if you needed it, what other community resources you need. We do all of that in what is called a level of care prescription. That's what I call it. Families get that, and it shows you exactly what's wrong with your loved one and exactly what you need.
Wow.
That's interesting. That is very interesting. Wow. What made you get into this though? What made you get into this?
I had three of my four grandparents until I was in my 20s. So old people were not scary. They protected you from your parents.
Right?
And so I also, when I was in medical school, I got tired of 30-some-year-old white interns calling 80-some-year-old Black women by their first name.
Huh?
Wow.
I'm going to have that.
Disrespect.
And I also got tired of people denying certain care to folks just because of the day they came on the planet. I had a Latino gentleman who was like 78, and he was taking care of his grandchildren, allowing his daughter and son-in-law to be in the workforce, had back pain so much he couldn't pick up his grandchildren, had a spot on his spine on the x-ray, and I couldn't get anybody to biopsy it because of the date he came on the planet. And if it was tuberculosis and I radiated it like a cancer, he was going to die. If it was a cancer and I gave him antibiotics, he was going to die. So it really made a big difference to me. And I could not get anybody, no surgeon, nobody to biopsy it because of the date he came on the planet. And that's when I decided to go into academic geriatrics. I decided to teach other doctors how to do this.
Wow.
Makes sense.
That does make sense. And those that it's a great profession, especially the avenue that you've chosen, because as we're young, we see these older people and we don't appreciate it at that age how they are. But once we get older, it's like and they take care of us. But when we get older, the roles are reversed.
Well, I don't think the roles are reversed. I don't think it's a role reversal.
You don't think so?
I took care of my mother for 10 years. She died of Alzheimer's disease. And if I spoke too sharply, she would slap me just as fast as she would ever. They're always who they are. And you never get to disrespect them. You never get to treat them like children. So it's not really a role reversal.
Okay.
You step into a different responsibility, but that's still mom or pop or whoever it is. They've earned that respect. We need to give it to them.
And so maybe I should have said it that way. You're right. It's not a role reversal. It's just that we're actually giving them back what they gave us.
Exactly.
And I can appreciate that. So as you're doing this, I mean, have there been some extreme cases that you had to deal with where it really just tugged at your emotions?
Well, the worst thing was my mom. I mean, I was director of the Geriatric Medicine Fellowship Program at the University of Chicago when I diagnosed her myself. She just wasn't the woman who raised me. The first time she asked permission to interfere in my life was when I had her tested, because we've been like that since I was 16.
Right.
And nobody really believed me, but I knew what it was. And I saw her death the day I knew what it was. So I grieved her the whole time. And this is a diamond drop that I wear. It's a little necklace. These are her wedding rings. And I had them set into this drop because in the 7th year of a 10-year caregiving relationship, she looked at me and said, "Do I know you?" And the fact that I was director of a geriatrics department meant nothing at that minute. I felt like a little 3-year-old that my mommy had left alone in a mall by myself. That was the most pain, is watching her. And she created me. My mother didn't graduate from high school, but every principal teacher I ever had was terrified of her. And I actually heard her say to somebody, "You might be PhD, but I'm MOM." And she was 5'3", and most of it was hair. She was such a force of nature, and I would not be me if she had not been her. So to have her look at me and not know who I was when I'd been taken care of for 7 years, that was bad. I can't think of anything worse than that. I mean, families go through that. And in a lot of ways, Alzheimer's disease is easiest on the person who has it, because eventually they forget it was ever any other way. But we go through what I call in my book, living grief. We're losing them a piece at a time while they're still in front of us. And so every time you come into the room, every time you talk to them, every time you turn around, your spirit feels like you're going to get a response from them that you'll never get again, because they look like themselves.
Right.
But that every time you have to deal with that grief every single day. And I think caregivers need big hugs and big support.
Absolutely. Jenny, you have something you want to say?
Yes, Dr. Cheryl, would you say that everyone will either go through the phases of dementia or Alzheimer's at some point in their life?
No, over the age of 65, only about 13% of people have dementia, which means 80-some% of them don't.
Okay.
Now, over 85, it may approach 40%, but this is an age-associated illness. It's not age-obligated. My aunt, 96 years old, she's sharp as a tack. That's not the problem. Age is the biggest risk factor for having dementia, but it is not something that all of us get.
Okay, let me ask you this. A lot of people don't know dementia, Alzheimer's. Are they one and the same, or what's the difference?
Alzheimer's is one form of dementia, like strawberries, apples, and bananas are fruit.
Okay.
It's one form. And an apple is no less or more a fruit than any other fruit, right? So Alzheimer's is not necessarily more dangerous or more of a problem. And an apple never turns into a banana. And people think other forms of dementia turn into Alzheimer's disease. They are all dementias, and they're all terminal.
Wow.
Alzheimer's is a death sentence.
Oh, man, that's what I was going to be my next question.
It is a terminal illness, which is why it's so important to figure out what you have, because there are masqueraders. There are illnesses that look like dementia that are not, that affect brain function, but you might be able to fix those. So you don't want to label somebody with a terminal illness without really getting in and finding out what it is. And the biggest thing I want people to understand is, like you said, it doesn't happen to everybody. It's not normal aging. There's no such thing as senility. So if somebody does something that's different from what they used to do, I mean, simple things, particularly early on, like somebody who's always sending folks to Boston all of a sudden can't count Trump, it's time to take a
Right.
look and see what it is they have. Don't accept it. If it's different, it may be a problem.
Okay, now you said there's Alzheimer's is one form of dementia, correct?
Yes.
Are there others?
Oh, yes. The second most common form is called vascular dementia. It's dementia from stroke. But it's not like, you have a big stroke and you can't move your arm. It's you have little teeny strokes over years, so that over time, a certain percentage of your whole brain has died. It's not like the part that controls speech or the part that controls an arm. It's a little bit all over, so it comes out as memory loss.
Oh my goodness.
What
That's
about
scary.
What about sometimers?
Yeah, that's what my aunt used to call CRS. I can't remember, But if you remember what you forgot, you're not likely to have dementia. Like, what am I looking for? Oh, yeah, my keys. If it comes back, it's probably not dementia.
Oh wow.
Everybody say what's up to Miss Marcella. She just
Hey Marcy.
Marcy.
Glad to see you. You're safe, Marcy.
I'm safe and they're safe.
Awesome.
okay. Then what? So it was. Never mind. I'm not gonna go there. First of all, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. I have a question.
Yeah, we know you do. Go ahead.
A couple of them. Okay, so is Alzheimer's or dementia, is that hereditary? Does it run in family?
There are some genes on some chromosomes that we think code for some of the chemical abnormalities that cause dementia.
Okay.
But most people who are diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease don't have family history. So that may only be 10% of the people. But vascular dementia from stroke, is hereditary because diabetes is, high blood pressure is, cholesterol is. But actually, some researchers believe that Alzheimer's disease is type 3 diabetes.
What?
That people who have problems with vascular may increase their risk of having Alzheimer's disease.
Wow.
That's a big step. That's a big step.
So Lewy body.
Yes. That's another form of dementia that has these structures inside the brain cells called Lewy bodies. And that and dementia associated with Parkinson's disease has different symptoms. It's these jerky, stiff muscle movements. But Lewy body dementia also has hallucinations, visual hallucinations. And it also is not the illness you want to use for certain kinds of medicines that treat agitation. Like something you might give to somebody with Alzheimer's disease might actually make Lewy body disease worse. So you want to figure that out.
Lewy body disease. It's different. Go ahead, Mama.
So is there a genetic marker for each one of these? How you diagnose any of these?
No, the genetic markers are like chromosome 21, like people who have Down syndrome, who have 3 copies of chromosome 21, are more likely to have Alzheimer's disease than other people. So we think there may be a gene on 21, but maybe 14, 11, the Genome Project is finding all of that.
So,
Okay, so with the dementia, and Felicia says, wow, with dementia, is there I want to say gestation period, but is there how long can you last with that?
We don't know because we don't know when it starts. It may start before age 30 in people who have hereditary form. We don't know. And this new drug that's come out that actually is the first disease modifying medication we have. All the rest of the medicines may help with symptoms, but there is an abnormal protein, it's thick, gooey, nasty protein that sticks inside the brain in between the nerve cells and messes up their communication. You can only see this stuff. It's called beta amyloid, and you can only see it on a certain kind of brain scan. And this new medication actually decreases the amount of beta amyloid that there is. But we don't know whether that changes behavior or memory yet. We're decades away from knowing how to use this. What we hope at some point is that we'll be able to do this brain scan in a 20-year-old who has a family history and prevent the illness by giving that medication. We're not there yet. We're decades away from that.
Okay, Marcy, you had a question.
Yes. Can you explain sundowners?
Yes.
And do people go in and out of dementia? Whereas, like, say at one point or this day, they're talking normal and, organized sentences and thoughts. And then the next day is like, oh, wait, it's the total opposite.
No, dementia is persistent. Okay. You have your good days and bad days, but it's not like one day you'll be reciting the Declaration of Independence and the next day you don't recognize your grandchildren.
Okay.
On your good days, they're never as good as when you were healthy, and your bad days are worse. So you may go in and out, but always within the area of abnormal.
Okay.
Sundowners is a phenomenon where when the sun goes down in the evening, people get more agitated.
Yeah.
And it may be because, you know, older people or people who are likely to have dementia have visual problems. You know, they have cataracts, macular degeneration. So when there's less light or the light is not at a direct angle, you may see shadows. And if your brain doesn't understand what it's seeing, it may look like a monster to you. So you get agitated. But this is the Woodsonism, okay? I think the other issue is that when the sun goes down is when everybody's coming home from work, everybody's coming home from school, we're doing laundry, cleaning, cooking, and the air, it's just chaotic. And that chaos may cause agitation.
Yep.
They went from idle peace to.
So we have a question. Felicia Coral says, how are these diseases tested and diagnosed?
It starts out with ruling out the masqueraders. Like depression can masquerade as dementia because the tests require you to care and try to answer the questions. And when you're depressed, you may do neither of those things. There's also a condition called delirium, and that is change in brain function that's caused by something that might be reversible, like an infection or medication abnormality or thyroid, whatever. So the first thing is to rule out reversible causes of changes in brain function. That's the first thing. The rest of it right now is a clinical diagnosis. You know, what are you not able to do now that you used to be able to do? How is it different? If you're a master crafter and you're knitting and you drop a stitch, can you now not remember how to fix that? My mother was the macaroni and cheese queen for the family. And she started making macaroni without putting the cheese in it and ate it and did not notice. It starts out with what's called executive function, the real complex behaviors where you interact with your environment, like you're driving, you're shopping, you're working, you know, managing money. Along the continuum of time, you start having personal care problems. Like, are you dressing and grooming and bathing yourself? Finally, to the point where can you get the food from the plate to your mouth? I mean, as you go through, your ability to do things decreases. The ability to have language is different depending on the type of dementia you have. Like people who have dementia from stroke usually have problems generating language, understanding language before other forms of dementia because stroke does that.
Yeah, we try to do it all.
There are some tests that can be done. Most of it is answering questions to see how your brain works, but we're beginning with the science to be able to test for that beta amyloid. Like they can do what's called a lumbar puncture, where they put a needle into your spine and pull out some of the fluid that circulates around your brain. Some of the abnormal chemistries. Problem is Medicare doesn't pay for that. And at this point, we don't have something that can fix it. So I think for the researchers, that's important. I think for the everyday people, it's not yet essential yet.
No,
for the researchers, that's important.
We're not going to stick anything in my spine. Okay?
Right.
You can live through it.
I've done a lot of those. If you know what you're doing, it's not that bad.
I mean,
Oh my gosh, it just sounds.
There's space between the
you
bones.
go ahead and do it.
Slide between the
I've had spinal tap, so I know what it is.
We're trying to get all of this information in for real. Okay, we're talking with Dr. Cheryl Woodson. She's a geriatrician, and she got a lot of great stuff that she's given us. You got a question?
Yes, Dr. Cheryl.
Yes, ma'am.
I had COVID twice, and after having COVID, I'm not the same. My memory is not the same. My mind is not the same. Is that a form of dementia, or is that something totally different?
It's totally different. Remember, dementia is progressively worse, it's persistent, and it ends up in death. So the kinds of changes that we're seeing short term can't be called dementia because then we don't have them. It's not time related yet. Most of the problems with COVID are lung problems, the long-term COVID, but we don't really know yet because it hasn't been long-term.
No.
You know.
So I
And
mean, going back to the secretary.
Hold on. Let her finish her thought.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you'll need to be real careful about is what kinds of things are you having trouble doing? And if you really are concerned about that, I think the gold standard for testing is called neuropsychological testing. They're PhD neuropsychologists, and they're subspecialized like everybody else. They're ones that do head injuries, some do learning disorders, some do dementia. And you want to find somebody who does dementia. And they ask all these questions. It can take up to 3 hours, and they can pinpoint what's wrong with your brain better than a CAT scan or an MRI.
Wow.
Because it's not what it looks like, it's what you can and cannot do.
Absolutely.
And because my mother had dementia, every time I lose my keys, I want to go get tested. I'm really scared. And one of the guys that did my testing once just asked me how much sleep I get and how much stress I get. Because it may not be anything wrong with your brain specifically. It may be a response to other things.
Fatigue or something. Yeah.
Absolutely. Fatigue, stress, fear.
All of that.
Wow.
So Maurice, I apologize. Go ahead.
No, she got to it. Yeah, it was exactly. It was in the chain of thought she was going to.
Okay, Marcella, you had a question?
2 questions. First one.
One of them.
With dementia, no, 2. With dementia, because you talked about me at the beginning of the show, I heard you.
No.
Okay. Do you also? Okay, I have a loved one that's been diagnosed, and I know the peripheral vision is gone. And they can't smell anything. Is that a part of dementia?
That's not necessarily dementia. I mean, you need to make sure that they've not got like macular degeneration or something else with their eyes. And I am not aware that the loss of smell is related to dementia.
Related to that too? Okay.
That's not something I've heard. I'll look that up for you and get back to you, but I haven't heard that.
Okay. Can I ask my other one, Greg?
Might as well.
It's okay with me.
It's okay with me too, as it's kept. Okay, so you have a loved one that you might feel might have dementia, but they refuse to accept it or want to even think of that. How, because of the mental health laws and HIPAA laws and all that, how can you kind of get your loved one to a doctor to even be tested or checked if they don't want to?
Do they have a doctor who's writing their prescriptions? Okay. Talk to them. I mean, HIPAA says the doctor can't talk to you. It doesn't say you can't talk to the doctor.
Okay.
So you can write a letter, send an email. So I'm worried about this. And next time she comes in, could you check blah, 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 you know? The other thing I've had people do is say, oh, let's go get a checkup. And they both go.
Okay.
You know, and I've done a dementia evaluation walking somebody around and around in my parking lot. She didn't have to come in the building. You know, there's no box, right? You know,
right. Okay.
But also remember that their brain is broken.
Yeah.
You have to go into their reality. They can't come into yours. You can't convince her. If her brain is actually broken, she can't use that information. Okay. So you're never going to be able to convince her. She's not going to say, yeah, no, that's a good idea. That's not going to happen. So you have to go into her reality. And sometimes you have to be ready to lie. My mother wouldn't stop driving, so I had her car stolen.
Oh my
car, you know? And it's hard for us because we're good kids. We're good kids. We didn't disobey. We went to school. We didn't. But you have to decide if you'd rather for them to be mad at you or you'd rather get that phone call. Something. What are you going to be able to look yourself in the mirror and deal with?
Okay, so as this and we'll call it a disease, progresses. What are some of the things that you can suggest when people are talking to? And we discussed this before you came on. You're talking to these people. They may repeat things. They may bring some stuff up. They may have the long-term.
They'll remember where they were when Roosevelt talked about Pearl Harbor, but they will not remember what they had for breakfast. And sometimes, because what gets in there before your brain gets sick will be in there for a long time. Long-term is, and that's one of the things that confuses families because they don't understand why they can remember back in the day and can't remember 5 minutes ago. The most important thing when you're communicating with them is to realize their brains are broken. You can't go, didn't I tell you? Why don't you remember? Oh, no, mom, it's blah, blah, blah. Because they can't use that. All you will do is provoke them and make them slap you because they will. You know, do you care whether it's 1947 or 1974? Really? What difference does that make?
Right.
You just have to go with it.
Just stay engaged with them and just roll with the punch. You know,
maybe you want to bring out the old albums that they remember and see who these people are. Maybe you want to have them do things that don't require a lot of insight, like they snap string beans for you when you're cooking, or they fold laundry, you know, or just whatever makes them happy. I had an uncle who didn't know who we were, but he loved listening to jazz. My mother could dance after she didn't know who I was. So I would tell when she was in a nursing facility, if she got agitated, put on some Duke Ellington, see what happened. You know, you go into their reality.
Right.
And you don't try to make them who you needed them to be. And this is important around holiday times because people want to take folks to the wedding. You know, they want to take them they want to put them on a plane and have somebody on the other side pick them up. Never.
No.
Ooh,
Never. Not today when planes get diverted, things get, and if they get agitated in the air, who's going to do that? You know,
right? Who's going
to
know?
You have to fly with them or decide who you're doing this for. Do you need them to be there or do they need to be there?
Absolutely. Hey, we're talking with Dr. Cheryl Woodson. We're going to take a quick break here, all right? Play a couple of promos here. November the 9th, coming up real quick, the Distinguished Authors Guild is going to have an award show, okay? It's DAG Awards, all right? Let's check this promo. Out in Las Vegas, Nevada, all right? Distinguished Authors Guild. Y'all go check it out if you're in the area. Make sure you go. If you're not in the area, get your tickets right now to
virtual
see this auspicious event, all right? Also, if you want to be part of a live studio audience for a television show, check out Jamie McGrone, and That's Why I'm Here. Let's check this out.
He's creating a platform for everyone to come and tell their story of how they turned tragedy into triumph. And everyone has a story to tell. Get ready to be motivated and inspired on That's Why I'm Here. So get ready, get ready, get ready. Ladies and gentlemen, your talk show host, Jamie McGrone.
Hi, I'm Jamie McGrone from That's Why I'm Here.
For a television show, the Oprah and them and Steve Harvey show. This is our own. Okay, it's Jamie McGrone, and he's inviting everyone to come through and celebrate with him on his show, sitting in the studio audience and being a part of that. All right, we're going to bring him back on here before the next studio audience session so we can talk to him and have some fun with him as well. All right, we're talking today though with Dr. Cheryl Woodson. She's a geriatrician and some other things too. Author. We haven't even talked about that yet. All right, Maurice, you have a question?
Yeah, the question I had was, in your diet, you know, as you get older, is there things that you could do to keep, you know, stave off something like that dementia or Alzheimer's from happening?
I think what you have to do from the time you're in control of your own diet, when you're 18, 20, whatever, It's this, when you're 20, you're playing for 80.
Okay.
Don't wait until you're 65. You start before that, maintaining your blood pressure, your blood sugar, exercising, sleeping, getting enough sleep, drinking enough water. I don't think it starts there. There's not a particular supplement. In fact, there's a supplement called ginkgo biloba that everybody wants to talk about. It can cause bleeding problems. And none of the rest of that stuff works.
That what Larry King died of? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
That was his big thing, ginkgo biloba.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I wanted to finish one comment about holidays and taking old people places. If you decide that you really want him or her to come to this party where the grandchildren are running around, it's going to be all chaotic, and they're in a new place, somebody else's house that they're not used to, and they're agitated, you need to have somebody there who won't mind leaving to take care of them. Somebody who's not going to feel bad if they're not at the wedding. And you may have to hire somebody. It's worth hiring somebody to fly with you so that if your plane gets canceled while you're trying to figure that out, somebody is standing there with them. It's worth spending.
Oh, yes.
It's crazy, right? Now, you're not only a doctor, but you're an author as well, okay? She got a couple of books, actually more than a couple of books, okay? One of them is To Survive Caregiving, A Daughter's Experience, A Doctor's Advice. The other one that I have here is The Doctor Is In, answering your questions about how to survive caregiving. You want to talk about those?
Yes, To Survive Caregiving is an overall review of caregiving from whatever kind of illness you're taking care of. I have presented in that book the 5 keys to caregiver survival. And the 4th key is, if you don't want to have to drive all the time, take your hands off the steering wheel. You have to let people help you. Some people are so busy thinking that they're the only one that can do it right, or they want to tell people what they're supposed to do rather than ask them what they can do. And they don't value what they can do. Maybe your brother can't bathe mom, but can he get your car, get the oil in your car changed? Can he pick up your kids for basketball practice? You have to let people help and value what they can do. Another key is don't ask, don't tell won't work. And you have to tell people you need help, but one of the caveats is don't lean on reads. It comes from a book by Lori Beth Jones called Jesus in Blue Jeans, about characteristics of Jesus' life, that if we did it that way, our lives might be easier. He didn't lean on reeds, he stood on rocks. So the problem is not that your sister won't help you, it's that you keep expecting her to. If somebody is unreliable, stop relying on them. You can't make somebody do it. It wastes your time. You need to get it done. Leave her alone and go find out who can actually help you.
True
The
that.
Doctor Is In answers 40 years of questions that caregivers asked me that I was surprised I knew the answer to. Like, what do you do if mom gives all her money to Pookie and you don't have money to buy her medicine? What do you do?
You know what?
Get it with Pookie.
What do you do if dad goes to the casinos every week, asks you to pay his rent every month, and you have 3 kids in college? What do you do? And it's real practical questions. There's also a chapter from the Care Warriors. These are my dyed-in-the-wool caregivers that I've known forever who really do a good job. And they have their own chapter because they gave me so much wisdom that I gave them their own chapter. So they're both available on Amazon. And the 5th key to caregiver survival is to put your mask on first. You cannot take care of them if you don't take care of you. I had a 58-year-old caregiver drop dead and leave 2 80-year-old people here.
Wow.
What good did that do?
Right. There was another question here from an audience member. Can traumatic brain injury cause dementia?
Yes. Repeated head trauma, like the CTE from football players, that is another cause of dementia.
Man, glad my son stopped playing football.
And it may be that the younger people start having head injury, the more likely they are to have dementia. So we need to talk about whether kids need to be playing football.
Whoa.
That's different.
That's a good question.
Yeah. So because they, and a lot of times with those football players, and I'm speaking from experience, the athletic directors have to upgrade their equipment. Because I know that we had a problem when my son was playing football that they had old helmets. They weren't as padded as the other ones were.
But the other thing is that there is so much money in football I mean, even at the high school level, at the college level, there's a lot of disincentive to figure this out.
Yeah, that's crazy. You are giving us a lot of stuff to go on.
Yes.
It's some of it's scary, but
Well, you know what? I think you have to see the wall so you don't walk into it. The first key to caregiver survival is don't put your head in the sand. Don't put your head in the sand, like ostriches supposedly do. But if you put your head in the sand, you actually present a bigger target, right? It's coming whether you see it or not. So if you can face it, you can prepare and maybe even get ahead of some stuff. We're not a people that hide from stuff, We don't do that. Let's just step up and get it done. It's possible. And I'm still here. My mother died in 2003. It was a horrible 10 years. I'm still here.
Yeah, you're still there, and you're still inspiring, and you're still educating.
And she's still on my shoulder telling me how much cheese to put in the macaroni on Christmas. I'm not losing her.
Marcella, I hope you're getting some of these little phrases she's giving us. All right.
I live in sound bites, but it's all.
We create a dictionary on this show, okay? And it started off with little small stuff, but then it started getting bigger because with all of that information, okay? So we appreciate that, Marcella.
Well, the other two books that I wanted to talk about are. I almost lost my daughter in 2015, and I wrote all these affirmations to keep her going. And so, Dear Lauren, Love Mom, 31 Days of Affirmations for My Daughter, for Myself, and for You came out for Mother's Day last year. And as I was writing it, it's almost like I heard it for the first time, and I was healing these little girl hurts that I've been too busy working and raising kids to even address for myself. Wow. So this helps caregivers take care of themselves. One of the affirmations is, I will be kind to myself. And I have a workbook that goes with that for if you want to give a workshop or discussion. And one of the questions for that affirmation is, if somebody told you the story that you just told me, would you call them any of the words you just called yourself? Would they be weak? Would they be stupid? It's like, why aren't we as kind to ourselves as we are to other people? So that's a series that can help caregivers understand that self-care is not selfish.
That's so interesting. Marcella, take us to the life coach.
Okay, we're going to take a little break here. We're going to redirect, regroup, and refocus with our life coach, Jeff Relaford.
Hey, what's up? It's your boy, Life Coach Jeff. So for today's 1 minute thought, we have a moral to the story. And I want y'all to listen to this. So we've all heard the story about the man who was stuck out at sea. His ship had sank. And what happened was, he said, he prayed that God would go ahead and save him. So a helicopter came by and they were going to save him. And they said, all right, hey, come on, go ahead. We got you. He said, oh no, I'm good. I'm waiting on God to save me. A big old steamboat came past, tried to save him. And he said, oh no, I'm good. I'm just waiting on God to save me. And somebody on another boat came by and was like, hey, I got you. So, nah, I'm good. I'm just waiting on God to save me. So then what happened was a little bit of time went past. And dude was like, what's going on? And then he was like, God, how come you didn't save me? And then God was like, well, I came 3 times and you just didn't recognize it. So regardless if I told the story right or wrong, the thing is this, the moral of the story is this, people. Don't miss out on opportunity. Know and see the good in everything that you have going on. There's always a way out. So while you're out here praying that God can save you out of something, go ahead and look around you. Your option is closer than you think. So remember, Life Coach Jeff coming to you live. Remember, here we go. Screwed it up. Remember, Life Coach Jeff, redirect, regroup, refocus. DopelivenTV live. I love y'all. Peace out.
Okay. That's our baby brother.
All right.
That is real, okay?
Yeah.
And
Marcy,
Coach
he did one of Marcy's.
He has his own podcast. It's on Mondays. He just did it as well. All right, you all check him out. All right, support that brother's effort. Dr. Cheryl Woodson, we appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We got a lot, a lot of good information today, man. Okay,
Yeah.
and some people that are going through this right now, you know, I hope that they were watching and they got a lot of good information. I know, and I don't put a lot of my stuff out there, but you know, I'm going through that right now. It's my mom got diagnosed with early. And that's a question too. Is there such thing as early or late, or you know? I mean,
Yes.
and what does the early entail?
The early is that executive function, those complex things, doing hobbies. She may even be, my mother could make coffee after she could say coffee. You know, she could still do that. And then late, people really can't even get the food to their mouth. So it's over a course of time, and there's no specific time course for each individual. It goes the way it goes. But it is a terminal illness, and people die of dementia because of incoordination of a muscle in your throat that flips over your airway when you swallow so you don't get food in your lungs, and flips over your esophagus when you breathe so you don't get air in your stomach. And it does that thousands of times a minute, has been doing that since your mother's womb, and it can't remember what it's supposed to do. And so people die by getting saliva and food in their lungs, setting up pneumonia and leaving no space for their oxygen. And that is the way people die from dementia.
And you know, some of that stuff just sounds really scary, but you know, it's a part of life. It happens. You know, we can't live forever. We're not going to be healthy forever. You know, we just have to do the best that we can with what we have. You know,
and do your advance directives, your power of attorney for healthcare, who says who would make decisions for you if you couldn't. And make sure your kids know where all your stuff is. You need to make their caregiving easier for them than your parents made it for you.
Yeah.
I got 5 brothers.
I got a whole chapter called Prepare to Care. So
I got 5 brothers, and we got it. Everything is straight right now for mom. All we want her to do is just enjoy life.
But do you have a power of attorney for healthcare, the 4 of you?
Yeah, we do.
Everybody, you got it. And it happens when the state you live in thinks you're grown. That's when you have to do it. I gave my kids their power of attorney forms with their 18th birthday, because in Illinois, 18 is when you're grown. It's not about age. It's about adulting. And holidays are a great time to talk about this, because at the Thanksgiving dinner table, it's like registering to vote. It's just adult responsibility. This is what our family does. That way, the old folks don't think you're trying to kill them, and the young folks don't think you're trying to age them. This is just a rite of adult passage. We do our powers of attorney.
Absolutely.
Makes it less scary.
Absolutely. Myself, got a question.
Quick question about, okay, if it comes to the point where your loved one might have to go into a home, memory care, assisted living, nursing home, adult daycare?
It depends on what their level of function is. And this is where that level of care prescription comes from. Your team will tell you what they can do and how much education the caregiver needs to have. Is it okay for the grandson to come up 3 times a week and shave somebody? Or do you need a registered nurse at the bedside 24/7, 365?
Okay.
And that level of care prescription that I've developed is what tells you that. And that tells you whether assisted living or nursing home or Alzheimer's unit. The thing is, though, in assisted living, people will be as alone at night as they would have been at home.
Wow.
It's not, and most of them are not designed for people who have memory loss. So you have to be careful. And I have a chapter called Honor the Spirit. When you said, I will never put you in a nursing home. That spirit was you'd always give the best care. And sometimes that doesn't mean doing it yourself. And I find that sometimes families use a nursing home too late, when the caregiver is already too broken, too tired, too sick, and they haven't already been giving the kind of care they wanted to. And people wonder why folks go into a nursing home and pass quickly. It may not be because of the nursing home. You know, so you have, what I said to people when I first gave a diagnosis of dementia, what would it look like for you to say you couldn't do this at home? I laid the line in the sand right there. And people could, if they got closer to the line, they recruit more resources and move the line. But for some families, the line was back there. They were already overwhelmed. So I have a chapter on how to stay in control of the care plan when you're in the nursing facility. You are still the caregiver. And if you know who to ask which questions of and how to respond, you can stay in touch and take care of them in the nursing home as well.
Very, very interesting. Very great conversation.
Yes.
Man, it's been one.
Very sobering.
How can people get your information, your book?
All of the books are available on Amazon.com under my name, and my website is drcherylwoodson.com. And you can sign on to my community, download a file that I have called the Caregiver Survival Kit. And it gives you all of this information as well as what you need to do to take care of yourself. I have a form called "You Need to Know These Numbers Like You Know Your Social Security Number." And it's a sheet you take to your doctor to make sure you know what your eye pressures are. And if you're diabetic, and have you had all of your shots? Because taking care of yourself is the only way to be a good caregiver.
Absolutely. I'm going to actually repost this immediately after we get off here so that you know, those that missed it can see it as well. Okay. Because it was a lot of great information. It kind of opened my eyes to a couple of things as well. And again, Dr. Cheryl Woodson, we appreciate you coming on the show and hanging out with us and giving us this great information.
Well, thank you for having me. I'd love to come back.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You coming back.
Yes.
Right. We need more information.
I'll bring the pizza next time.
I like that.
There you go.
And did I hear hot cocoa with
hot chocolate with cinnamon sticks and amaretto.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sometimes rum, but tonight is amaretto night.
You're really chilling macking.
Just what the doctor ordered.
Yep. Nice and warm on a nice chilly night. That works.
There you go, Doc. Hey, Doc, you know, before we leave, we always let our guests as well as everybody on the panel say a couple of words to the audience to, you know, give them some good information before we, you know, something to go on, some encouragement. Your turn.
It's resilience. You know, the pandemic scared us all, but look back over your life and see what you've already accomplished. My father dropped dead 2 weeks after I started medical school. If that did not break me, the pandemic couldn't. So remember who you are. Remember who you are. The same person who overcame everything that you've already been through is still there in the mirror. And now you have things you didn't have when you were younger. You have wisdom, you have resilience, and you have a LinkedIn contact list. Ain't nothing you can't get.
Marcella, it's your turn.
It's my turn. Okay. First of all, Dr. Woodson, thank you again for coming on. I love your spirit. I love all the information that you're giving. People, know it's not just you and your family. No, you're not alone. There's so much information out there. Get Dr. Woodson's books. I have not read them yet, but from what she's saying is in there, it seems like there's a wealth of information. It can be overwhelming. I too am a caregiver for someone with dementia, and some days are rough. There's help out there.
We're good. Moby.
Man, this is awesome show. First of all, I like if anybody got to the end of this show, you need to go back and take a look at this whole show, because all this information, everybody that watches Dope Living TV needs to go through and check it out.
Let's go. Gina.
I know there was something in here that Dr. Cheryl said that hit home, because I know it hit home with me.
Me too.
And it's really scary when you hear it. You actually hear it. It hits your ears. But you have to take care of yourself. And it doesn't start when you get older. Everything you do when you're young, listen, youngsters, everything you do when you're young is going to affect you when you get older. Whatever you put in your body, whatever you do to your brain, whatever you do physically, it's all going to affect you when you get older. And we try to fix it when we get older, but we should be fixing it while we're young. That's all I have.
And that's part of what I was going to say as well. You know, people always say, check on your elders, and it's not, check on yourselves. Right? That you check and make sure that you're good first, because if you're not good, you're not going to be able to take care of your elders anyway. Okay. You may pass before they do. So make sure that you take care of yourselves. Get a friend like Dr. Woodson here, and you're going to be all right. Matter of fact, you might even get free healthcare. So,
not.
Yeah, right?
No. No. Hell
not.
I tried it.
I didn't say that.
I tried it. It didn't work. All right. And we have had a great week. Okay. And this is how you close it out. This is how you do the week. You know what I mean? Again, Dr. Cheryl, I've been calling her the whole name. Okay. Her whole government name. Dr. Cheryl, we appreciate you. We were inspired, we were educated, and definitely entertained. Okay, and we hope that we can have you back.
I'll be happy to come back. Thanks for inviting me.
Most definitely. Okay, do not forget, everybody, take care of yourselves. All right, this is Dope Living TV Live. We will see you guys next week. All right,
peace.